people are going to be upset. You can check every box. You can do everything right. We have no control over how other people react to us or feel about what we do or how we run our businesses. So I think just being okay with that.
What does it take to thrive as a creative for nearly 30 years while balancing motherhood, multiple businesses, and a passion for empowering women? My guest today, Tammy Zdunich, knows exactly how to make that happen, and she's sharing her secrets with us today. Tammy is a photographer, business coach, and co-founder of the Well Collaborative, where she champions women in creativity and leadership. In this episode, we explore her journey from navigating the early days of film photography to redefining success on her own terms. If you've ever wondered how to align your creativity with your values, protect your energy, or push past fear to create meaningful work, this episode is a must listen. Let's dive into this inspiring conversation with Tammy. Hello, Tammy. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me. I love being here.
I'm so happy you're here. Yeah. You know, your name was like the very first person that I thought of. I was like, I want Tammy on the podcast. I want to hear about her journey and her story and how you became the Tammy you are today.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah. And Tammy, maybe you could share a little bit about yourself.
Oh, yeah.
For our
I always
audience.
Forget that that's what we need to do when we're on podcasts. I am a creative woman. Yes. I love the arts. I love amplifying women's voices. I think like you like to share with other people, abundance. Like I can tell that you're that kind of a woman too, who feels like there's just enough to go around. There's so much. And I just feel really happy about most of the opportunities in my life, and I tend to say yes. So I have actually just realized the other day when I was in a talk about finances with in a presentation that I'm a solopreneur. So I have my Tammy Zdunich photography, which is also called The Happy Creative. And I also do some coaching for small business and creative women, and sort of like creative women who want to be more professional and professional women who want to access their creativity. So those are kind of the women that I tend to work with. I like to make everything fun and follow my fun. And then I also have a partnership called Merge, which is video photo company. Yeah. And we do things like Nuit Blanche or different, we'll work with annual general meetings for nonprofits, or we'll amplify women in their careers. So just putting together really fun photo and video content. Yeah. You totally get that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you also have 3 children too, and a husband.
Yes,
right?
3 businesses and 3 children and a husband.
Man, how do you manage that? Like how do you do it? Because you're successful and you have a beautiful family, and you seem to also be able to spend time with them. Like how do you?
Yeah, I think it's like knowing myself. Mm-hmm. I think knowing my limits, which I had to learn since having kids. And knowing that I deserve to be happy, and I don't have to spend a lot of time in my head going round and round and round, justifying things. I just give myself permission to feel how I feel in the moment and do what I need to do. And I try to really separate, like, I'm a person. I remember when the kids were young, I would say, I'm a person too, Like, I'm a human being and I have needs too. And I know you have needs, little person, but I'm actually human, and you can't, talk to me like that or treat me like that. Because I think women tend to forget when they have kids that they're a human being, that they're a person too. Right. And they just do everything for like their family or their partner or even their clients in business, and they lose themselves.
So how do you manage client expectations? Because I'm a believer in boundaries, and I know you are too. Yeah. We've talked about the whole hula hoop thing. Yes. And I know though those circumstances come up where you can be as clear as possible with the client about, expectations on delivery of photos or this and that. But there comes a time too where they're like, they're kind of overstepping those boundaries and being a little bit pushier. And I guess what I'm trying to get at is, like, how do you maintain that personal space? Like you said, you kind of just do what feels right.
Oh, I know. I had a lawyer say to me, Adrienne Forgeron, the gentle lawyer. She's amazing. She said, the the best way to protect yourself is to be fully yourself all the time. Yeah. So I think just really having people know who you are, and then their expectations are in the right place. So I think it can look a little bit more messy sometimes. I mean, I did allude to this earlier in our conversation that I feel like people think of me as like creative and professional, but definitely like a little raw, like real, like pretty real. Yeah. So I think
authentic, I think is the
I
proper
love that
term.
word. Thank you. Authentic, the buzzword right now too. Yeah. I definitely feel like I try to bring my authentic self, but I think that that's the key. People are going to be upset. You can check every box. You can do everything right. We have no control over how other people react to us or feel about what we do or how we run our businesses. So I think just being okay with that. I think I'm okay with people being disappointed in me. It's not easy.
Would you say that you were always like that? Or do you think that that came with experience and that maturity and just that willingness to be, to say no or draw that boundary?
I think it's the hardest thing for me. And I think I've had to learn it, and none of it comes easy or is natural to me. Yeah. So I think that I've learned it through the Well. The Well collab is how I've learned it. To be honest, that's been 6 years of self-reflection, being in community with women, listening to other people share, and learning. I didn't even know what self-care was until I started the Well. Yeah. And then someone came to one of our events, our circles, and said, "Oh, I'm super good at self-care." And I was like, "What is that?" Yeah. I think that was the beginning. I think probably 5 to 6 years ago was the beginning of me going, something doesn't feel good. I have to do something. I have to protect myself. Or, I get really excited and people get really excited around me, and then they want to feel that excitement with me. But I'm only one person and I can't serve 1,000 people. Right. So I think I had to learn, okay, that's okay. I can still be myself, and that might disappoint them, but they need to find themselves, what makes them happy, what they value, what they love about themselves, become more aware of their impact on others, but then awareness only so that they can let that go more. Right. Like it's okay. So no, I don't at all. I was never like this. I'm totally people pleaser, but I've had to learn to not do that to protect myself so that I can continue to impact in a positive way.
Yeah, exactly. Because you only have so much energy, right? And I think with maturity and becoming a business owner, you have to learn how to protect that so that you can continue serving to the best of your abilities. You've been a photographer now for 26 years, is it?
Yep. It'll be 27 next year, but yeah.
Which is crazy to say, I'm sure. Like to think that you're like almost rounding 30 years in photography is amazing. And so much has changed in the world of photography. And I'm so curious to hear from you, like what your journey looked like then versus now even.
It was so great at the beginning. It was so fun. I totally understand what it's like to be the cool new girl. I think because I remember we all shot film, and it was mainly just an old boys club. There were very few female photographers.
What camera and film did you use?
I used my Hasselblad, which I still have, but I don't really use it. So my at the time, boyfriend, now husband, bought me a Hasselblad from Dawn's Photo for like, it wasn't Dawn's, it was Phase 2 or whatever it was here on 2nd, right here, for like $7,000.
That's amazing.
27 years ago.
So now that camera has to be worth like
nothing.
Is it nothing? It has to be like, I don't know. We'll have to look it up after.
I feel like it's worth nothing. Really? So I have the body and 2 lenses, and they're a 50 and an 80, and they're or 85, and they're beautiful. Like I remember the first time using it. Well, okay, so I just want to back up. I had a film camera before. So I had a Nikon, and I had my dad's old, one of his, I don't remember what it is. I also bought a Mamiya, and I would use like 12. I would have, with my Hasselblad, I would have 12 frames. And with my Mamiya, I would have 15 frames. So then you'd be at a wedding. I'd be at a wedding, and I'd be counting. Okay, so she's walking down the aisle. So I have the bridesmaids, and I can't reload. I would probably have like one backloaded, but you don't even want to mess with that. Right.
Right. I didn't even think of that aspect of, so did you have an assistant working with you that would just constantly reload your film?
I had someone on a 35 millimeter to catch anything in between, but no, I just was so fast. I would just like sit there in the aisle and like reload the film, and it was such a rush.
Oh my God, that would be. And
I would
so
be
would it be
counting
like,
down to the kiss. I'd always be counting down to the kiss. Yeah.
Jeez, that sounds exhausting to me, but
Yeah.
I mean, fun. I guess
fun.
that's how it was, right? And you don't know any different until things change. How did that work then with like your clients? Like, did they order, like, how did you deliver product? Did you like upsell to like large format? I want to know everything.
What would you do? I still have all my film. So I have like boxes in my basement of film from all the weddings. Wow. And you never gave away your film. So that was yours. They could order prints. They could, later on, you could get them scanned. But you would sit with your client and look through the images. I had this machine that would project them onto the TV. And wow, this does sound so old school. I know. I would project them onto the TV, and we would flip through them on the TV and decide the ones that were going to go into the album. Mm-hmm. And then every wedding had like a beautiful fine art leather album.
Yeah.
And you would print the images and put them in the mats in the album. Super high quality, super expensive. Like the amount of money to get into photography was so high. It was not accessible, which is why I think there were so few photographers. Right. And now it's so accessible, but what people don't realize is all the the hard drives, the SD cards, the equipment that you have to have is like Photoshop, your different apps, so expensive. It really isn't cheaper now. It's just easier to get into, but then you realize how much money you need to invest in it.
Totally. Yeah. Like, actually I was talking with Aaron a little bit about this, and yeah, like the barrier to entry for photography business is your camera. And then once you really start getting into it and you need the CRM software and the QuickBooks and, Flowdesk and like all these different things just to like run a photography business, it's like you're 500 deep a month in just subscriptions if you're lucky a lot of the time, but it really has changed. That's really interesting. So just going back to the whole film thing, like when you were starting out and so you're mostly doing weddings then?
A lot of families, portrait weddings. Yeah. My main income, I suppose, would be weddings. And I got hired really easily.
Okay.
I would book weddings. I could book weddings all the time. My prices were still able to be high enough because of the cost. Yeah. Everyone understood that photography was a high investment. Yes. So there was an expectation that was going to be one of the most expensive things at your wedding. And I would do a lot of work for families. I think there were like a handful of us that were photographers, young women photographers at that time, who were really doing this more documentary or photojournalistic style family photo shoots. Mm-hmm. We didn't even call it candid. It was like reportage.
So yeah, that would have been cutting edge at the time, because I don't remember anything like that. Like at that time, I'm thinking this is late 90s, like early 2000s. This is like,
because I'm turning 46 and I was 19. So it's like 2000s. Yeah, okay. Early 2000s.
Yeah. I'm thinking like almost like McMaster style, where I'd go there.
That's all there was.
My family and, and the grad photos and stuff like that. But so yeah, to hear that would be really unique at that time.
It was awesome. It was an awesome time to start. There was virtually no competition. The competition was like Stuart Kasdorf, Milton Taylor, all these guys who'd just been around forever and were killing it in corporate and commercial work. And, their family work was always very like perfectly lit and like dynamic,
And like the back alleys. I feel like I saw a lot of back alleys.
I'm sure I had many a back alley.
They looked great. I always wanted a back alley shoot. And so did you have a mentor when you started, or like, how did you know? Let's start there. Like,
she's
great.
Count?
Yeah.
Vogue magazine.
Right.
I am a 90s girl. Okay. I grew up with like the 90s. Naomi Watts. The supermodels. That is, so in my mind's eye, when I am capturing someone, like I am so ingrained in the 90s. I can't shake that. So you see these wonderful young new photographers. I'm like such a 90s portrait kind of a girl. Like I want the raw, I want the black and white, I want
The bare feet and the jeans.
It is something. It's hard to change.
Yeah. Well, there is something really special about that era. Like as soon as I hear the 90s and think photographs, I think like Calvin Klein and like, Kate Moss and topless photos and jeans. And it's still like almost so relevant today. Like it's quite classic photography. Like the 90s can seem really dated really quickly in terms of like certain things, but like fashion, for example.
Like grunge and the music and the Nirvana, that whole scene.
Yeah. But thinking in terms of like photos, it was like a really powerful time. So it's really neat that probably really shaped you into who you are as an artist today.
Definitely. I love the curves. I love the emotion, like the realness, the raw. I mean, I love like a woman's body.
Yes.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's really cool. And so you didn't necessarily have an in-person mentor, but how did you learn how to run a business or like to take photos?
I did do a few courses at the university. I did a black and white film development course. So I had a lab in my basement and I would develop my own film. And but honestly, I just had such I was very nice, but inside I'm like, ugh, what are they teaching me? Like I was a bit of I had the attitude. I still have that attitude. I'm always like, I can figure it out. I can do it on my own. I don't need you. Like, I'll just do it my way. I've been like that. If you talk to my parents, like I'm that kid. Right. I just figure it out. I just do it my way. I get very focused. I have a very high expectations, high standard. So I think I just figured it out. I honestly don't remember. Like I looked at magazines and I would try to recreate things that I saw in there, or I would read different articles, but I'm really kind of just immerse myself, just start and I'll figure it out. And I think that's what I did. I just failed until I figured it out.
And there really wasn't like YouTube at the time either. Hey, like it's a different world now. Like the learning opportunities are just so vast. Like even from when I started, I feel like there's just so many different opportunities to grow quicker than there were, or maybe I wasn't open to them, or I didn't really know where to look for them. But
I think I would experiment a lot with my girlfriends. Mm-hmm. Actually, I remember that because I used to do hair. So I did hair and photography at the same time. And then I left hair for photography. Oh. And every hairdresser was like my client. So I'd take them to that old, the Lawrence House. It's kind of like a venue now for weddings and stuff.
Yes, yeah. It's like out in the country, I think, right?
Yeah. That was my family's home. So like not my grandma.
Oh wow.
So I would take my girlfriends out there to be like, Grandma, I'm just coming to do some photo shoots. Yeah. Getting naked up in the one room in the back corner. And I would just do photos. The light was so beautiful in that house, and I would just take them and we would like go in this corner and go outside. And so I think I just learned through my friends. Right. And I would take lots of time to just have fun and experiment.
So how did you decide to make it a business then? What was it about photography that you were like, this is it? This is what I want to do as a business?
I don't think I ever really decided that. I don't think there was ever a time that I was like, I would think more, well, as long as they keep calling and keep emailing, I'll keep doing it. So I never had like a marketing plan or had to really look for clients. They just hit my inbox. Right. It's still kind of the same way now in a lot of ways. We had our website. So I had like a beautiful website. My husband made me my first one. Nice. And then I never really had that day. For me, it was more if the phone keeps ringing. Oh yeah, I did have an ad in the phone book.
Oh, there you go. Yellow
Isn't
pages.
That amazing? Yeah. I had a yellow page ad. Isn't that so cool?
That is cool.
It is so cool. I loved my ad. I loved the picture of me. Yeah. I loved Bamer photography.
I remember looking through the yellow pages like often. And I'd always go to and look at the different ads and the businesses. But sadly now when I get my phone book, it's like directly into the recycling bin. It's so sad.
I don't even. I think we're like, please don't bring us one anymore. We don't need it.
I know. How do we let them know?
Maybe Sestel wants to be a sponsor.
Yeah, exactly. Sestel, call me. We'll talk. And so when the digital cameras started coming in to play, were you like a quick adopter? Were you kind of resistant? Like,
I was so irritated. I think I was just resistant.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is crap. Mm-hmm. This is terrible. The quality's awful. What's with all these, like the images look bad. Film is so much better. So I was like quite resistant.
Yeah.
Again, I think probably with a pretty snotty feeling inside of me about it. But then realizing, and I would have people come up to me, like this one photographer, and he'd say, "You're going to fall behind. You're going to fall behind, Tammy. You need to get on the digital train. It's so exciting," and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I get it. Like, I'm going to have to at some point. And I don't think I waited that long. I think I switched to digital in 2006.
And what camera did you use?
I bought a Canon, which I still shoot Canon. I bought whatever was the pro Canon at that point.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Like, I know that there's like a Canon film camera that looks like the cameras that we have today, but I forget what that's called. I'm sure there's people listening that are like, "It's this," and I'm like, "Oh, I wish I could hear you right now."
I think I think it's like I went for probably the beginning professional. So I didn't do the Rebel. I know Canon Rebel was a popular one, but I just like to shoot in manual. I don't like any settings. I just wanted something I could shoot manual with a full frame. I knew I would need a full frame in order to feel like that switch from film, which is full frame, to digital would feel okay. Took me a really long time to like my images on the digital camera, and I would shoot both. So I would support my Hasselblad with my digital. And the delivery would be a combination of both. So I would try to match my digital images and editing to a film look, which I feel like I always just want my digital images to look as clear and like film as possible. Right. Film is actually a very clean, bright, like
neutral, almost
sharp image, but soft yet soft. It's like playing a record.
Right.
That's what it's like. It's like playing a record.
Yeah. It is beautiful. Like even when we watch movies that are definitely shot on film in the late 90s or early 2000s, and we're like, wow, this still looks so good. Like it, nowadays when you see, films, the new films are like almost like over edited in a way and like almost age quicker. Whereas like film is just so classic and like the quality is just so good too. But that's, I guess, a different ball of wax. But so when you switched over to digital, did you find that your pricing had to change, or how did everything change from that point?
It really was just the editing that was difficult for me. I think the shift into keeping in mind, so I switched to digital in 2006. I started having a family in 2007. I was moving studios. A lot was going on. And I feel like you do really not remember things in the same way when you're in your pregnancy and sort of those new baby years. Yeah. So I don't remember a lot. I relied heavily on my weddings and family sessions. And I would think I would always just do film and then back it up with digital, just in case. In terms of pricing, I never like changed anything lower. I would have just continually always sort of been raising the prices. I'm really an advocate for pricing, like charging money and making money, and I love
charging what you're worth and understanding your fixed costs so that you know that it is a sustainable business, right?
Oh yeah, like this is something so funny because I think the whole six figures thing is so dumb.
Yeah.
But I think it is something people understand, and my sales have always been six figures since before, like when I had, not always, but maybe not for the first however many years, but from before having kids on. So that was, I just think you can make money at photography. It doesn't need to be something that is a lower, like I've had people make comments about it being not really a real job, or people kind of dismissing me because I'm an entrepreneur or what I do, maybe in like a family setting or more of a family social setting, or even in the professional setting of not thinking it's something that's valuable or that you can make money. And you can, but I think it's in some ways been easier for me because I started before the competition set in. Because even if you think about when digital came and everyone started to really, like 2010, probably really the photographers maybe doubled. And I don't know the year, but I would say maybe around that time, we really started to see like more and more and more and all the time new photographers. And I think for someone starting out, if they don't have a really different, like a defining feature about them, it could be really hard to get clients at a price that you can actually sustain your life, that you can make a living at,
Right.
and support your family. And
Took me a long time to figure out the whole pricing thing, I would say. I'm curious how you figured it out, or was it just trial and error? Like,
I think I would look at I think I did have the help of like other people. I had a lot of other photographers around me, and if someone was charging more than me, I was like, wait, what? Oh, I got to up mine. I think that's so positive to share what we charge. There used to be this thing where you didn't put your prices, you didn't tell other photographers your prices.
Right.
Like, that's the best thing you can do, because then they're going to feel that they can charge more, and have them encourage them to charge more.
have you heard of the whole shoot and burn thing?
No, what is that? I probably have heard of it, but I don't.
It's the idea of basically you shoot and then you give away all the images. People like maybe get burnt out a lot easier because they're charging like $250 a shoot. And so they're doing the shoot. Keep in mind, like they're doing all the admin beforehand, like communicating with the client, doing the shoot, editing the photos, and then they just send them a link to download. And that's become like, I think that's what's really drove the price down for photographers is, and I was guilty of that too. I didn't know. I was just doing what other people were doing. Other people are just giving the whole gallery. And now I've learned over the years that it's like, no, like there should be different packages and prices. It's would not be sustainable for me to operate a business where I'm just giving away everything.
Yeah. I have like a lot of different thoughts on this, and I think they often contradict each other. I sometimes think about how, what women will say or photographers will say to me is, well, I'm just new, I'm just starting out. And I'm like, okay, but there's a cost to education. So if you're not going to be a doctor without paying a lot of money to get to that point. So you kind of need to think about your first years in business as an investment. So either you can kind of take it two ways. You can say, I'm going to learn. So I'm educating myself. I'm a student of photography right now. And maybe I'm not charging anything and I'm not making any money and I'm just learning the craft and the skill. Or you could say, I'm going to start where I'm meant to start financially to actually have a business. So I'm actually going to charge what I need to charge to make a living. And I'm probably not going to have any clients, but I'm going to take that time to educate myself on how to create a really good business and how to get better. And I'm going to take courses and I'm going to invest in myself. I think the idea of just stepping in and charging nothing as a professional is harmful to the photographer. They get burnt out. They get way too many clients. They're maybe not even really that proud of their work. Or if someone says to me like, well, I'm not that good of a photographer, I'm like, well, then get better. Like this isn't clients. I think then educate yourself, but we don't need to do lesser work so that, I don't know, I think there's something about charging a low price for a service that I have a hard time with. Like then charge nothing to me, then you're in school. And that's totally fine. You can do things for free for people to learn.
Absolutely. There's always going to be projects that maybe they don't pay, but they're going to afford us opportunities that will lead to other things. And I still do that today. I wouldn't say that every job that I do is paid. A lot of the, more fun projects tend to be free or just creative, and it's an opportunity to learn and just a way to like stay on top of my game and like work with other people.
And I think it's that, and it's not coming from a point of competition or lack to me to have someone, when I say, you really need to charge money so you can support your life. It's because there's no sustainability, which I know you mentioned. There's no sustainability. Photographers get burnt out, they go too hard, and then they quit altogether. So for one, I never worry when people don't charge very much. I know it's not an issue for me. They're not my competition. They're not reaching the same clients as I am because people who have more money want to spend more. So it's also really fun to know that and to understand. And like, these are some of the common questions I get as kind of how I'm answering this for you is, even like, well, what about the people who can't afford it? And I'm like, hey, that's great. Actually, why don't you charge $1,000 per family session and then give one away for free and do it as often as you have capacity for.
Exactly.
So for me, pricing should be based on capacity and how much money you need in order to run your household and your family.
Right. It's all about working backwards. So it's understanding your fixed cost and then understanding how much do you want in your pocket at the end of the year, and then work backwards to make it.
And then what can you actually do?
sense.
And then
Yes,
that's where you actually
exactly.
get your price.
Exactly.
And your price might be really high. It might be outrageous. And you're like, okay, well then either I keep that and I figure out what makes me different and makes my value that, or I need to change an offering, or I need to.
Totally. And you know what? It's okay to be expensive. You know, like if people are talking about you being expensive, I'm okay with that.
That's fantastic. What a great reason.
It's better than being the opposite, where it's like, oh, she's so cheap. It's like, oh, like
I always
it's okay
say
that I'm expensive. And if it doesn't work for you, that's fine. Maybe we can work together in another capacity down the road. So I think, that just takes time and maturity and learning, and maybe getting a mentor like yourself that can help, guide you along faster. Instead of I feel like I really stumbled through it for many years. It took me a lot of self-learning, a lot of learning by mistakes, a lot of investing in education on how to properly price my work and how to run a business.
Well, and I make mistakes all the time.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I've been doing it for how long?
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost embarrassing to think you've been doing it for that long. You're still doing that. Well, I think it's just, that's okay. It takes a really long time.
It is okay.
But
that's how you learn, right? And that's how you can share with others. I talked about this earlier with Aaron on, how there was this sort of era of gatekeeping, and how I feel like people wouldn't share. It was very private on, lighting setups and this and that. And people really kept everything kind of close to the chest.
It's very competitive. I think it's because we're artists and we want to be viewed as unique. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of kind of copy, and copying is a form of flattery.
Yeah.
And I don't care if people do the same thing I do or copy. Mm-hmm. It does not bother me. Mm-hmm. I'm like, go for it. That's fine. I prefer to get in touch with who I am as an artist and explore that. That's where I feel the most alive. Yeah. And I think if someone's coming in and just kind of copying, they're either trying to learn, trying to figure it out, or trying to figure out what they love. They don't know. And it's just experimentation. And I think we, as an art community, we have to be more open to experimentation and trying things on. Mm-hmm. And then it's almost like being an artist is almost like being a forever teenager. Like you're just trying things on and seeing how it feels and seeing how it fits. And we get bored and we want to do it again. And I think that's what I love about your artist dates is you're providing your dressing room, your playroom, and you're letting other people come in and play in it.
Yeah.
And then you're bringing other artists in and they can play and experiment with those people and see how that feels and take the parts that work and leave the parts that don't. And I just don't think there's actually any sort of competition. There's no reason to gatekeep.
No, for sure. I've really been trying to sort of embrace the whole community because I really, really do think we're stronger as a whole than all these individuals. And, we can all only benefit from it if we're together, which kind of leads me to The Well, which is another, I would almost call that another baby of yours.
Yeah, that's definitely, it's in the preteen, teenager.
Yeah. So maybe talk about that. Maybe how did that all start, and how has that changed? Yeah.
An interesting journey to the Coles Notes. I'll try to do the Coles Notes. I had a business partner at the time with Tamara, and we had Marikey and Light, which was a photography company. And we were really into spending a day with a family and capturing just the true, documenting the true interactions and never posing. And I do not like posing ever. So it's so funny because I learned so much from you, who's you and Aaron, who are the masters at posing. And I'm I know nothing, but that's okay because I love reportage and totally natural, unposed. And those, I'm always just looking for that intuitive moment. So American Light was all about like light and love and all these things. It was so great. And Tamara and I were like, we need a studio. So we found the studio and we signed a lease, and then we're like, we need to pay the rent. How should we pay the rent? And we both were really passionate about community and bringing women together and these, circle conversations. So we decided to start a membership, $25 a month, and they would come to Circle and like Coffee and Connection. We'd have coffee and we'd have a topic, and we never pre-planned our topic. So we'd talk about that day. Maybe we'd talk about like, what does success mean to you? And then everyone would go around and take a turn, and there was no interrupting. And we kind of developed our rules as we went, because we were just totally flying by the seat of our pants. No, never done this before. And Tamara and I both just have had a great like energy and worked great together. Within a few months, she knew that she could see that I wanted to like take this for, like, I mean, I'm a visionary and I want to take things bigger. Like, I get very excited about things. So she knew that like this wasn't long-term. We did a number of things in the space, but long-term that wasn't going to be what she wanted to do. So she took American Light and went with that, and I kept the well. I said, I'm not done with the well. Like, I know there's more exciting things. There's so many things I want to do with this. I'm not ready to be done with this. So that's kind of, we split, and then I took it over and brought in, like, what happened was there were just women in the community who would like volunteer. One girl, Sasha, volunteered to do admin for me, and Margaret was there to do social media. So the community just stepped in to kind of rescue it. They loved it. They loved the well. So the well at that point in time was just about authentic connection for women, which it ultimately still is, but we do teach on feminine business and feminine leadership principles. So we, with the help of Jennifer Armbrust, she created this amazing proposals for the feminine economy. It's like so brilliant. This woman is wonderful. She's a researcher and she's a feminist, and she's like amazing. So she created these principles and then said, take these and adapt them, and let's, make this bigger. Yeah. So we sort of used it as an inspiration to create our own principles, and we kind of look at them every year and change them a little bit. Wow. And so every month there's a different feminine principle that Jennifer Armbrust, her January one, or we use it as January, but it's you have a body. And it's just how we forget as business owners and human beings that we have a body. And we forget to what our body's like telling us, and what it feels like, and how much we love it, and how to be good to it. And when you have to pee, that you should just go pee, and you shouldn't hold your pee in order to finish your podcast. Like it's these kinds of things, right? That we have to remember that we have a body and not take it for granted. So those are like feminine principles, and that's what we focus on at The Well. So it's connecting women and community, equipping women so that they can walk into a boardroom full of guys white guys probably, who've been doing this for a lot of years, very old school and very set in their ways, and not have to be brazen or like pushy, or they can just be the feminine leader that they naturally are, that they are. So it's a lot about like getting back to yourself, remembering who you are, having an abundance mindset, not competition, because a lot of things with women leadership is that there's very few room for more, that there's not a lot of room for them. There's only so many spots. So then when you have one spot, that's why women get in competition with each other. And I would even say at the beginning of my photography career, that could have happened. But I mean, the antidote to that is relationship. So everything we do at The Well is based in relationship. So we do like relationship-based networking, no pressure networking. It's like who you are first, what you do second. Yeah. We have rules, like you're not allowed to, I always forget what the word is, but you're not allowed to come in and be like, hire me, here's my business card. You can't say, oh, I can help you with that. Like I can fix that I can help you with that. I heard you say this and I have a solution. Because it right away stops the person from being able to self-reflect and figure out what's going on for them and come up with their own solution. Isn't it so much more amazing when someone just listens to you and you are able to figure it out on your own in that safe space?
Yes. So with The Well, do you have certain times of the month that, or not?
Yes, when we're on our period, generally. We all come together in the red tent.
Thanks for going there for me. That you have intakes for The Well?
Okay, so
the year.
So there's news today that just dropped today. So we're recording December 2nd. So there's news today. So I don't know when this will go out. So it might be old news.
Probably January.
Perfect. Yeah. Perfect. So today we're going from membership to movement. So we're eliminating the membership model completely and going to a movement. We've felt like in Toronto, especially our team there is like the membership isn't working. People are hesitant to buy into something. There's no relationship. We haven't established ourselves there. In Saskatoon, I knew enough people, like there was enough relationships and the culture was already kind of on board with it. So the membership did work. But I feel like the membership has limited me so much in able to like actually grow. So we've always been around 90 to 100 members but we have 900 women in our newsletter, in our movement. So we've kind of went from 90 to 900. So that's how I'm looking at it. Yeah. We're going from like a small monthly fee, which has limited us, to just making it free and open. And now we have all of our a la carte offerings. So I felt like women would be like, I just don't have the time to engage in everything included in my membership. Or they would say, the membership thing, or I can't afford the membership. So we were kind of shooting ourselves in the foot both ways. Okay. So now it's just free. And then I can now focus on teaching feminine leadership principles and what they are. And then if people want to engage in what works for them, they can.
Okay.
Oh
and
man,
so there
freedom.
Would be like paid courses and that sort of thing that people can kind of choose to either take on or not.
Choose your own adventure.
Yeah.
There's the podcast. Great. Yeah. So right now there's the podcast. There's the Coffee and Connection in Saskatoon, and there's the Feminine Leadership Circle in Toronto, and the Well Mixed Surplus panel. So we're going to start doing more, I like a little controversial topics. So a little more controversial conversations happening. Actually, our first one's in March at Maison Design Build, Gilaire's business. And Gilaire's, they're one of our space sponsors. And we have a great panel, like Amy from Parker View is speaking, Linda Yip, the Admin Gap, and Chinese genealogist is speaking. And we're going to talk about like, what is feminine leadership? Just really introduce reintroduce who we are. I feel like we've really we're having a glow up right now. It's like really a good time.
Great. And where can they find you?
The Well, you can just find online on thewellcollaborative.com. Okay. The website is the easiest way.
As well?
The Well Collab. But if you find me, if you find the Happy Creative, everything is tagged under me.
Okay.
Yeah. Keep it simple.
Great. Yeah. So Tammy, I wanted to circle back with something that you had touched on earlier about kind of being open to your own like creativity and listening to your inner artist. What is your process to kind of tap into that?
That's a good question. I need a lot of alone time in order to do that. I think that I didn't give myself permission, or I didn't realize how much artists need to be alone, uninterrupted, undistracted time just with themselves. I'm weird. I'll sometimes I just go lay in my front yard, on the grass, starfish. I just need to be in the with the earth or with nature. I take baths. Water is a really big connector for me. I will often, if I just take that alone time in the tub or outside, or go for a walk, which it's so cold and wintry here right now. So it's really hard.
It is hard.
It's hard here and it's hard here because it's cold. I find that harder. I'm having a harder time figuring it out. I'm a big puzzler. I have a fireplace. I have a puzzle. Do you do puzzles?
My God, that's so funny. Yeah, we
Shut up. Do you do puzzles?
1,000-piece puzzle yesterday, and it's all cats. And
we have
a fireplace right in front.
Will you be my new puzzle trade partner?
Language. Yes.
Because I have such a hard time finding people who can trade puzzles with me because I go through them pretty quickly.
Okay.
Mine's
I have a couple.
Mine's a Zodiac cat I'm doing right now. Is yours not?
It's just a bunch of cats.
Okay, fair enough. You'll love mine. I'll trade you my Zodiac cat puzzle.
Okay, so it might take me a couple weeks to get done, but
it's fine. I'm patient.
I'll pass it over.
I have a few in waiting in line, so I'm fine. I'm a huge puzzler, and when I sit and do puzzles, my mind is just magical. I just really think that we have so many amazing ideas.
Yeah.
And I just want to believe them. I think that people are able to get in tune with their creativity and touch it way more, but they don't believe they don't believe it. They go, nope, crazy, silly, weird. Nope, not doing that. Just do it.
There are some fabulous books on creativity, like Rick Rubin's. Somebody help me with the
I don't know, but
I'll lend it to you. It's so great. And it's just an easy read. And I actually love talking about creativity because in some ways I almost feel like it's just like these ideas are just floating and then they land on us. And it's like this weird sort of like, surreal thing that we can't see. And it's almost like these gifts that we get. And if you don't take advantage of these, they kind of just go to the next person and they just like float around. I don't know. I've heard like some crazy stories about like songwriters, like Coldplay talks about it and, different artists. But I really do feel like there is like a bit of magic to creativity. And
Definitely.
So that's absolutely right. Just spending time alone, maybe meditating and kind of listening to that. You do have to get quiet in order to like hear these sort of messages, to really tap into that creativity, but also like to be brave enough to maybe take it on because maybe it is something that's like totally out of your comfort zone, but that will kind of push you to the next level.
Do we have time to talk about that? Because I just had that happen to me.
Let's talk about it.
Because we just had the art show with the 525.
Yes, please go into that.
And it was so profound for me. I feel like I forgot a part of myself. I left a part of myself. Yeah. I think with the well, there's so much business stuff I've learned. And I kind of forgot how important it is to just be an intuitive artist and really just not do it for anyone but myself. And the 525 gave me that opportunity. Molly Shakosky and Rowan asked me to apply, and I actually filled out the whole form back in spring and didn't hit submit. So then in fall, when everyone was meeting, I was like, why am I not meeting? Did I not get chosen? I'm like, that's okay. I was like, that's totally okay, girls. Like, I totally get it. Yeah. I'll come and support. And they're like, no, you didn't apply. And I was like, what? Oh. I did, but I guess I didn't. So I did quickly apply that. And they said, yeah, there's room. You can come and do it. So I had taken women to the river. I'd felt called to the river in summer, and I wanted to do photos of women in the river. So we had done that, and I'm going to do that all the time now because it's like the best thing ever. And I was immersing them in the water, and I got these amazing photos out of it. And then they were for the clients. So I don't show a lot of my work because most of my work is for my clients, and I don't show my favorite work on social or anything like that. And because it's their photos, they purchased them, and that's pretty old school. I tend to think that way. So I asked them permission to use them in the art show. So I picked 4 and I really trusted my gut. And what came from it is that the one was going to symbolize bleeding and like our monthly bleeding and how we bleed and we don't die, like as women. It's like incredible. We're like so amazing. We bleed for like,
I never thought of it that way.
7 to 10 days and we don't die and no one calls the ambulance. Like who else does that? It's brilliant. It's amazing. We're amazing. And one is like our intuition and trusting our mind's eye and the power of like our inner knowing. And one is that we're silenced. Like we try to not speak. We try to like stay small and not really show our full selves. And we try to hide. And I painted with red paint on all of them. And it was like very vulnerable because I'd never shown these images. I mean, there was nudity in them. One was pleasure and orgasm and women like experiencing orgasm, pleasure, and how important it is to like seek and chase after healthy, natural pleasures. And I decided just that I was going to paint red paint on them because it's provocative. It provokes. Red, it can be offensive. Like it can just make you
powerful color.
It's a powerful color. And I absolutely love red. And so I was like, well, Tammy, maybe you need to paint a different color. Blue? My gut, no. Pink? No. Like every color, no. Red. I was like, okay. I went to the paint store. I went to Home Depot. I'm talking with the girl there. We're talking about my art. And she said, well, what kind of red are you looking for? I'm like, like day 3. She like we laughed so hard about like, she totally knew what I was saying. Yeah. And I think like who comes into Home Depot and is like day 3 of your period, that's the color of red I'm looking for, And I bought this little container and I got in a red dress and I hand painted it outside on my deck. And it was like such a great experience to just freely be doing something for me and have the support of the women in the images, knowing that I'm putting them out there. They're very vulnerable to say yes. I'm very vulnerable to do this. I come from a very like religious background, some trauma there. And I've like worked through that the last 3 years and I've left the church that I was a part of. And I'm a very spiritual person, but I have been in hiding from what I have hidden a lot of it to protect myself and maybe my people, maybe my family. And I'm not doing that anymore. My 80-year-old father and my mother came to the art show, and they're wonderful. My parents are very open. It's more like some extended family. So anyways, it's been a journey the last few years, and it's really great.
That's awesome. As you were saying that, I was picturing being in New York and seeing this sign that said, "Your shyness is killing you." And that's always kind of stuck with me because I consider myself a shy person. Like, I can come across as like an outgoing person, but at heart, at the root of who I am, I'm a shy person. And that's always kind of served as a reminder to be like, no, just do it. And like, if it sucks, whatever. Like, that vulnerability is just so important to like break through to the next level and to like let your shyness take a hike.
Yeah. And it's not easy. I think that's the whole point. And I always want to get that across, that it's difficult work, but it's worth it. It's very, very, very rewarding work to do art. Art is very vulnerable.
It is. And you know what? The hater's going to hate.
They're going to hate anyways.
Right? So you might as well do it. Do it is authentic to you, because if it is authentic to you, it is going to resonate with others. It's just going to happen. So good for you for doing that. And I saw it in person. I thought it was fabulous. And I'm so proud of you and the other women that were able to kind of showcase their vulnerability.
Yeah, I feel really connected to all the artists there. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's awesome. And I hope there's more of that to come. Tammy, how can people find you and get in touch with you?
The best way is just Instagram. I'm most active on there, and all of my links are on there. So it's _thehappycreative, and everything is right there for you.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for being part of my artist date today. I loved chatting with you. I feel like I could just chat with you forever. So
it was so fun. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Artist Date. If you enjoyed it, please take a moment to subscribe and leave a rating. It really helps more creatives like you discover the show. Don't forget to follow along on Instagram at Artist Date Podcast for behind-the-scenes updates, inspiring content, and more. New episodes drop every Tuesday. Can't wait to connect with you again soon.